Hi guys. So this is not going to be like an actual update on my experience with psilocybin therapy. I honestly I know that healing is not linear, so you know, knock on wood or whatever. But I have been seizure free for over 2 years now. It'll be 3 years in October this year. So like a year. I'm trying to do the math really quick and it didn't work out. A year and like 6 months, a year and a half. Wow, it's already been a year and a half. So 2 years and a half. I can't math right now. I came on this video unprepared. This is a raw video, by the way. Hi. Well, all of my videos are pretty raw, but I'm kind of just I've seen like a lot of comments on my 1 year update, and if you have not watched that, I will put the link in below so you can get the resources for my year 1 and my year 2 update with psilocybin therapy and epilepsy. So yeah, I had three grand mal seizures, a bunch of aura seizures, and I was basically diagnosed, but not really diagnosed with epilepsy. Like I had an MRI scan on my brain. They couldn't really find like causation. Those things are kind of actually, if you're not familiar with epilepsy, they're kind of difficult to find triggers. Not every trigger is the same. Epilepsy is not is not as transparent as we would love to assume. It is it's a complicated issue within the brain, and it deals with electrical waves, and yeah, so there's different triggers. And I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer at the beginning of the video. I am not a medical expert. I am not a doctor. This is from my own personal experience. I did a campaign for 360 campaign consulting back in 2019. I was like a team lead to help get people to basically sign some some papers so that they could legalize psilocybin therapy and branch it forward in the legal world, the legal aspects, and basically get the ball rolling with a lot of this not new science, but a lot of it. We still obviously needed some medical leeway, some government leeway into the industry. So it was a very important thing. So a lot of this stuff is new, this information. So bear in mind that as well. This is gonna be a journey. Like everything is a journey in life. Epilepsy is its own journey. And I'm sure that, if you're a parent or you yourself have epilepsy, you're very familiar with what I'm talking about. It is something that you just kind of have to learn as you go. And the same with psilocybin therapy. There's a lot of unknown factors, and there's a lot of unknown, just information about mushrooms themselves in general. But there's also a lot of other mushrooms that help repair and restore brain function as well. So I will talk about that too. I just want to put it out there because I don't want to create this stigma that I cured everything with psilocybin therapy. I didn't cure anything from my own perspective. I didn't cure anything with psilocybin therapy. I helped alleviate some of my triggers. I helped face a lot of my traumas, my PTSD and depression. Those can actually create even more triggers. So it became, it becomes a vicious, toxic cycle, epilepsy, because you can create your own stimuli for triggers by just, being an anxious person from having these triggers. You know what I mean? So it just becomes like a tumbling effect, and you don't really know where to turn. You don't get a whole lot of direction in the medical field, as far as like immediate and direct direction. Sorry. So there's a lot of like, me personally, I'm an argumentative person. Go figure. I'm a Virgo. I I question life. I question um medical aspects. Even when I'm not an expert, I don't claim to be an expert, and I don't question everything. So I'm also not that type of combative person. However, I know that there's a lot of information in the universe that we don't all have handles on, even when we are experts, because experts do make mistakes. And I personally, okay, I'm just gonna put this out there too. I had a very, very brief disagreement with my neurologist. Well, he wasn't my neurologist. He was somebody who I was basically and introduced, referred to for my epilepsy, because I had, I was in and out of mental hospitals for a little while, and I did some crazy stuff while I was having epilepsy, uh, or sorry, seizure triggers. When I was having seizures, I would do crazy things. I've talked about that a little bit in some of my previous videos, but I will actually dive into some of the things that I did past tense, because I don't do them anymore. It's been 2.5 years, so completely seizure free, by the way. No aura seizures, nothing. So there's different types of seizures. There's aura seizures, and there's grand mal seizures, and I think those are the two main ones. I think that there may be maybe some other types of seizures, but I think those are the two main ones. I'm, again, not an expert. I just know from my own experience, because it had both. And yeah, so a lot of different triggers and variables associated with epilepsy itself. So again, you can find a lot of confusion and misdirection, or just no direction at all when it comes to this journey in your epilepsy. And I had a disagreement with basically my neurologist about cannabis and, well, CBD. Actually, let's be direct. It was about CBD. It wasn't even just about cannabis in its entirety. It was about CBD specifically, which is known to help alleviate symptoms of seizures and epilepsy. So my issue was I wasn't given the right information from the get-go from my doctor. Um, from the neurologist. I wouldn't say my doctor. I only met him like once. So I didn't go to another neurologist out of frustration. I did have some more grand mal seizures and some other aura seizures after that. So, I wouldn't say that you should. I'm not trying to tell you to shy away from, the medical experts at all, by any means. Always do your due diligence to get as much information and reach out to different experts, not just one. I'm just saying, don't get all of your information from one source, whether that be a person or the internet, me, anybody. Just make sure that you do your due diligence in this journey. And I know that that is a very abrasive, and it's not exactly what you want to hear, because you already knew that, I'm sure, but neither here nor there. It's still important, valid information. Anyway, so I had a lot of issues with wanting to take my own medicine. I didn't like it. I was prescribed Capra. I didn't like it. I felt awful. I felt like a zombie. I didn't feel like myself. I felt drained. I didn't feel like a human. I felt dehumanized by taking these medicines. And by medicines, I just mean one. I'm just gonna try to keep my grammar a little PG so we don't get flagged on YouTube out of respect. Just yeah. Anyway, so I didn't really want to take these. I tried it for, I think, maybe just like a week or a few days, and I couldn't do it. I really couldn't. I know that seems weak, but I just couldn't. It made me feel awful, and I already felt awful. So it just wasn't my path. It wasn't my journey. It led me to some places unknown. I didn't have any guidance. My dad, he was kind of alone on this journey, and I do feel a little, guilty for pressuring him and causing more turbulence in his life. But I also didn't, I didn't expect any of this. So I know that he doesn't need me to be sorry or anything like that. But But my point is, I didn't have anybody. I kind of had to do this journey myself and on my own. So I just want to be that person that allows you to see that, you're not alone. No, there's not a whole lot of information about this stuff, but there are articles that you can read that are government funded research articles. There's going to be a plethora of information. I have it on that video. I'll try to link some more stuff. Bear with me because today is a busy day, but I will provide more links. So if you don't see the links for things and they're missing, just nudge me by like commenting, hey, can you provide some links for some resources, and I'll get them. I'll get them for you because I've been there. I already know where they are, where they exist. It's just I'm gonna have a busy day today. So anyway, yeah, I did a lot of just kind of like experimenting on my own. Not necessarily like I didn't do a whole lot of different types of trials and error. I was just experimenting on my own journey is basically what I'm saying. So I chose psilocybin therapy just kind of like on a hunch that it would help me, and I know that sounds bizarre. It is. But I did do that journey on my own just because I had a hunch, and it felt right at the time, and I didn't want to do what was given to me. I didn't want to make that choice. I didn't like the choice that was given to me, because I felt like I didn't have a choice. So this was my way of taking my own power back, and I want this to be your way of taking your own power back and not feeling so alone. Because again, there's really not a whole lot of like, and I've seen this too because I'm in a Facebook group. If you do feel alone, there's actually quite a bit of like Reddit subreddits, but also me specifically, I do spend a lot of time on Facebook. um there are Facebook groups that you can, join, and there's lots of people there. If you want some more information, if you want to, get some idea of a third perspective of like what other people's situations are, so you can not necessarily compare yours to other people, but at least, get a better perspective over what you are going through, that you're not alone. Even though you may feel like you are, you may just be isolated at the time, but there's other people where you can like kind of reach out and get information from. It's harder to find them because again, it's not talked about very often, but we're here to talk about it. It's important because again, we need this information. So while I ramble, this again was an experiment that I did, and again, there are other things associated with it. I did I did take care of myself a lot better. There's a lot of dietary restrictions, or I guess dietary things that you can do. I shouldn't say restrictions, but let's be real. We are gonna have to restrict our diets for a lot of reasons. I know that caffeine is probably one of them, but it's also not one of those things that I don't think necessarily will just straight up trigger your epilepsy. I don't know. For some people, I'm sure it's a much more of a trigger. And this is what I'm talking about with like different variables. So every situation is going to be different. Um, but yeah, there's things that you can do with your diet. Obviously, I think that's like the number one thing that they try to tell you, but probably don't tell you enough when you're going through it. They basically just try to prescribe you, for the most part, they just try to prescribe you some pills and be like, okay, well, we are going to do our best. I mean, I'm sure it depends on the doctor that you get to, but, we don't all have access to great doctors, and not every doctor is a great doctor. I know that I've said that a couple of times, but it's the truth. It's honest, it's raw. I know it's beefy and all, but it's the truth. And yeah, so I did do other things too, is what I'm trying to communicate with you. It wasn't just me doing psilocybin therapy. I did change my diet, not drastically though. I love food. I really do. I love food. I'm sure there's some things that I should probably be a little bit more aware of. Taking your vitamins, your minerals, drinking a lot of water. Water is extremely important for your brain. First of all, I know that I'm giving you a lecture. I just want to go through all of the things first. I do, just so you can get an overall picture, not just like have some like romanticized idea of what this is going to do for you. and not have all of the details. Okay. So yeah, I did I think I probably stopped smoking so much because I do partake, but it's not, yeah, it's not, I don't think that really had anything to do with it. I know that we need to be raw and honest with ourselves sometimes because we should take some breaks. And I'm not talking about just, tobacco products and other stuff like that, like vapes and stuff, like just in general, like we need some sort of balance in ourselves. So just, that's neither here nor there, but we gotta be raw with ourselves. If we want to really take this healing journey seriously, we need to take ourselves seriously. So I'm just saying, I love you guys. I'm not lecturing you. I'm just saying, these are the things that I also did too. So it's gonna take a lot of time because, I was stubborn. I didn't want to cut out a lot of things, and I didn't cut out a lot of things either to make myself like, miserable or anything. But I did change like a few things. I went out for more walks. I, got some more fresh air. But mostly like I was really emphasizing like psilocybin therapy, journaling, shadow work, um, just kind of facing my own traumas and going through a lot of stuff, which, it's not wasn't easy and I needed a lot of help. I did talk to other people too, to kind of like release because a lot of the times we're like allowing all this heavy weight on our shoulders, and a lot of the times that can be what also triggers more of, um our negative triggers. So like the triggers alone can trigger more triggers, and that's just my way of saying that it creates that cycle. So it's really important to slow down sometimes and journal and just realize some of your emotional strengths and some of your emotional weaknesses, because when you're honest with yourself you can approach this in a more realistic view, a more realistic approach is basically what I'm trying to say. So with that being said, I also did a lot of like mushrooms in general, and I'm saying like legal mushrooms, okay, these things that you can get over the counter, you can order on Amazon, literally. Do not flag me, okay? Mushrooms like lion's mane, cordyceps, um, geez, there's quite a few others that were in that bottle. I personally used Host Defense by Paul Stamets, his Host Defense formula. I think that he has different types now too. I think at the time there was only like, no, he may have had some other kinds, but the one that I have gotten in the past was like a mixture of like cordyceps, lion's mane, and I'll put the link down below for that one as well. But you want to go ahead and do your own research because I don't personally remember all of the different benefits from different mushrooms because different mushrooms have different benefits. Overall, mushrooms are really great for your brain. They help restore like memory, cognitive function, your energy levels. There's a lot of benefit with mushrooms. You'll have to really kind of see exactly what I'm talking about on your own because there's just a lot of information. I wish I could cover all of that, but it's not that important really. Just honestly, that's why I'm recommending to just get the Paul Stamets blend if you want to try some mushrooms out. Like that, I'm not sponsored, but I personally would recommend that just because I know that it has a blend of all of them. There may be better brands out there. They will get pricier depending. But do your due diligence there as well as far as research. But yeah, mushrooms in general are very helpful for just overall restoration. Now, again, I don't believe that was a tell all for my healing journey either, but I do strongly believe in its power, and I think that the only real prime example I have is literally being completely seizure free for 2.5 years. And, I've been in and out of mental hospitals, and I will talk about that too, because a lot of it, I was, I think it was still, and my memory sucks. Okay, so I don't remember everything. Literally, when you have seizures, your memory can just completely go away, and then you get PTSD involved with your epilepsy. Then like your memory can basically be non-existent. There are things that I didn't remember. Like I had a very hard time remembering like my dad's birthday, which I know that it sounds like something that you would just like kind of forget, but not really. It's really not something that you would forget. I lived with my dad my whole life. I would never forget his birthday, but I forgot my dad's birthday, and not like the day of or anything. I just like I concentrated. I didn't remember it. Um I think for some reason I was, yeah, I think it was my left arm. No, it may have been my right arm. I think it was my right arm. I would lose like cognitive, not cognitive. I would lose function in my arm. So basically, I wouldn't be able to move my arm. So I don't know if that has more to do with like maybe just losing function in your brain, or I didn't really know what I didn't have a reason. I didn't go to a doctor and have like a real reason or explanation for why that was happening. I just know that was one of my symptoms. And a lot of like aura seizures, sleeping in my bed, I would have like a lot of seizures while I was sleeping, and a lot of that was like just very debilitating, and again it brought me into a lot of like negative cycles where I would just continuously be depressed and have PTSD, and just, you know, it would feed into that bad cycle. So it's really, I know that I've rambled a lot about how important that is, but it really is so important to understand like the cycles that you can get stuck into, because the cycle itself could also be what's triggering a lot of your epilepsy because of the stress associated, um the cognitive limitations and the perceiving and also placing on yourself can be very difficult. So uh I and I know that there are more severe cases of epilepsy too, and I don't know a whole lot about everything. Again, this is all from my own personal experience. I'm going to say that enough times, just so I'm not getting anybody's hopes up, and I'm not here to be negative about this either. I don't really want to, you know, give anybody some false sense of hope. I just want them to realize that there are other options than what they are necessarily being told face value. And it's not because they're necessarily being lied to, but there's just, again, it's not a whole lot of information. It's still not necessarily being developed, but you know, people don't just report on these things. People report on other things that are not so important in politics and in life and such. So you won't be spoon fed this information unless you go out and look for it yourself. Uh, well, you won't be spoon fed it at all, is what I'm saying, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna just kind of look through some of these comments on this video just to see if I can cover some things, because I know that there have been other people that said they were taking Keppra and wanted some other options, and wanted to know if it's risky, to kind of to do both, I believe. To be honest, I wouldn't really recommend both. And that's not to say that I'm definitely never going to recommend anybody lean off or wean off of their medications. Um, However, I do think that should be something that you should maybe make a decision for yourself, if you should wean off of your own medications first. I personally did myself because I know that it would give me a better sense of reality and what is actually helping and what is just making me, perhaps being not necessarily a placebo effect, but isn't really actually helping like I'm assuming that it's helping just because I'm doing you know, 3 different medications at the same time. So it's kind of like if you take one out and you leave the other two, then it's like, well, which one of those two is helping? If you take two out and you only leave one, then it's a little bit easier to know, okay, this is actually helping, um, or it's not helping. That's just my own personal opinion. Again, I would definitely look into the severity and understand how often and how complicated your own epilepsy is and how frequently you had seizures off your medications, because obviously, I'm personally never going to recommend you lean off your medications at all. I really wouldn't. I would definitely seek medical advice about that. I don't believe that you'll always get the answer that you want to hear, so take that information and process it, the answer that you get from your own medical doctors. Process that, make your own judgments. Super important to make your own judgment call. Don't ever trust. I know that it worked for me, and I'm telling you this now. I know that it worked for me, but I cannot promise you that it will work for you. I know that there were, again, and also remember, because I did ramble about this. I reiterated it quite a few times. That there were other things that I also did in conjecture with psilocybin therapy. It was personally my feeling that psilocybin therapy did the most benefit for me, as well as my mushrooms, because hi, it's a little cardinal. That's a sign. Personally, I do believe that the mushrooms actually were the most beneficial for me. Just because I did my own research, my due diligence research on mushrooms and its entirety, the different types, the different effects, the different reasons they do what they do, and I just kind of used a little bit of discernment, like you should always use. I use discernment for this journey. So do that with yourself. And I don't want you to stop here. I want you to know too that this is not your stopping point on your journey. This is just like a little snack shop. Hey, come over here, see what I got as far as goods, and then go about your journey some more, because there's going to be some more stuff that you're going to learn about yourself on your journey and your healing process. So allow yourself that respect, allow yourself that patience, and be calm, be understanding, but above all, be patient with yourself, because it was a long journey for me and I still believe that I'm on this journey. And that's just because I'm grateful for the healing that I do have right now, because epilepsy sucks. It sucks. I won't get emotional, but it fucking sucks. Okay? It's debilitating in so many ways. It makes you feel like you've also debilitated people in your life, and it's just a shitty feeling. I said I wasn't gonna get emotional, but I lied. Um, so it's a journey, and it's always going to be a journey, probably till the freaking day we die. Who knows? Who knows? Life is a journey at the same time. It doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. But everything's all at the same time. So, take things with a smile. Be happy for where you are on your journey, and be happy for the people that you do have in your life that are understanding of your journey and where you are currently. Because at the end of the day, like, you have to be there for yourself. And I know personally, I felt like I've always had my dad around to help me, and I don't know where I would be if he wasn't around. And helped support me while I was so low. So, with that being said, it still feels like a very lonely journey, even when you do have somebody who loves you and takes care of you and helps you on your journey. It can still feel pretty lonely. And it's not because you are actually alone, it's just because you don't understand how to express these emotions and your limitations, your cognitive limitations to people without feeling like you are a burden. And that alone is hard to deal with in life itself in general. So, constantly we're feeling like burdens, not constantly, but we feel like burdens pretty often in general in our lives. So having that to face either by ourselves or just with like the limited group of people that we do have or the one person that we have, like it can still be a pretty lonely journey, and not because again that we're necessarily alone, but because it's not something that you can really express easily. I'm sorry that my focus is over here, but I'm just trying to go over to our year two update video so we can see if there's any comments here that I can touch on, because there's 14 here as well. Question. From your experience, what kind of mushroom helped more with your epilepsy going away? I have a friend who got epilepsy a couple of years ago due to using sleeping pills a lot. He's usually goes on 10-minute gibberish, usually after, and then gets up from sleep. He did fall down a couple of times in previous years, but he is on a pharma now, so for now just goes on to the 10-minute gibberish episodes. Also, did you take pharma to control your epilepsy while using mushrooms? So there's a lot to digest there. I'm gonna break this question down. This was from a month ago. And I am sorry that I haven't been able to make content. I've been going through some grief myself. I don't want you guys to have to process that grief, but I've been going through some grief, some loss myself too, so I've been kind of fumbling myself too. I'm not some happy. I know that, I put content out here all the time, but I'm not always happy 24/7. There's some times when I have my moments and you know, I need my own space. But anyway, so there's a lot to digest with this question here. Firstly, I don't have any experience with sleeping pills at all. I personally, and this is a personal choice, I kind of stopped taking like ibuprofen. I kind of stopped taking aspirin. I stopped taking a lot of like over the counter drugs just in general. Um because of my own thoughts and stigmas on pharma. So I will put that out there too. I do have my own personal stigmas on pharma, but I don't let that, dictate all of the choices either. Like I'm not like, ooh, pharma's completely evil. I mean, they do have, their prerogatives. We won't talk about that. But, I personally don't have a whole lot of experience. I do know that sounds like the gibberish, sounds like the aura seizures that I used to have, which are more of aligned with you're still basically cognitive and functioning, but you're not aware. You're completely. It's almost like you're being controlled by like somebody else. That's the only way I can personally describe it from my own memory. It feels like you're being controlled by a third party. Um, there may be things that you remember from your aura seizures, but generally you won't really remember anything. Maybe not anything, but you will honestly only remember small details, if anything at all, because of the other things associated with like trauma and PTSD. Our memory pull tends to pull away and fade away when we're facing things like that, just because of our cognitive association with pain. Our memory shuts down in flight or fight response, and so that's just something to acknowledge and remember too. So the gibberish in usually after he gets up from sleep, that sounds like aura seizures. Personally, I had a lot of aura seizures. When I was sleeping, I would I'll be graphic. I wet the bed. Um, I wet the bed. I can't control it. My brain's not working, so judge me. I don't care. I wet the bed. I talked in my sleep. I would feel like I wasn't here in reality. It also desensitizes you in reality. It makes you feel like you're not real. You can feel very disassociative, especially after an aura seizure, because I think that a lot of your brain rambles and goes to bizarre places when you're having aura seizures. So it's not necessarily like anything specific that's causing like an aura seizure. I think that honestly, a lot of our brain develops like these crazy reactions and responses to pain and trauma. And you can see that on like a psychological aspect when you look at trauma survivors. And I'm, like not even just from epilepsy, from other trauma survivors. You can see a lot of like the cognitive dissonance, the cognitive memory loss that they do experience from their pain and from their suffering. So I think that's something to also really consider. But to better answer the last bit of your question, I did not take Keppra when I was doing mushroom therapy. I actually again kind of from what I said earlier, I did actually do I did the Capra for like a few days. I honestly don't even know for sure how many days. I don't even think it was a whole week. I really probably could have given myself more opportunity, more chance to try it and give it a chance, but I just didn't want to. It was not the choice that I wanted to make, and I'm not ashamed. I don't regret it. I don't think that it was easy making the choice that I did. I don't think it was easy for other people either. And I don't think that you should just make that choice given whatever circumstance. You can't really make that choice because you're also making choices for other people to have to take care of you if things don't work out. So I just want you to remember that, like, on this journey, that, be patient with yourself, allow yourself failure, allow yourself to exist where you are with the healing that you currently have. Whether it's a little bit of healing, look, uses like if you gave up drinking 2 days ago, like you utilize that as your healing journey. I know that that sounds silly and maybe it's a little hypocritical, but every little bit of this healing journey counts. I really feel like, our ups and downs. Healing is not transparent, it's not linear, 522. It is, there's not like a slope and we get to go up and stay up there. Unfortunately, it'd be really great if that was, how life was, but obviously it's not. So, yeah, I didn't do anything. I honestly don't even think that I was really smoking cannabis either. Um, Mostly just because I don't think that I was. If I did, it was here and there. I'm smoking a little bit more than what I would have before, but I don't really see personally like any correlation. I think that the correlation would have more to do with like your trauma, PTSD, depression, the things that you are smoking away. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily like the cannabis itself that's has any effect. It's really what the reason why you're smoking, if you have a reason, trauma related or not. I don't think it has a whole lot of correlation is what I'm trying to say. Um so that one was just a question about where I'm from. So I think that we covered basically all of the questions. I'll just kind of double check, make sure we covered everything. If you guys do have any other questions too, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I think that's it actually, because we're here at the 40-minute mark anyway. I'm pretty sure that's basically all of the comments, questions that were not covered previously. And I'm sorry if I did miss any of your questions. Let me actually go back because I think that there was one lady from today or one individual from today. I'm on 3 epilepsy meds right now, and I'm still seizing. I smoke weed, and on the 27th, I'm gonna talk to my doctor about surgeries. And honestly, I don't know. I don't want to. So should I microdose instead? I've never done it before. Um, I just I will put this out there. That is not a lot of information to go off of. From what I'm reading, it sounds like you're going to go into surgery for your epilepsy and you want to try microdosing instead. I personally, I'm not going to give you medical advice. I really I love you and I want to, but I won't. I personally recommend making that decision for yourself based on your better judgment and what you feel more comfortable. From my own personal assessment of what I did, I wanted to make some choices that would make me feel more empowered rather than a social experiment, if you will. And I say social experiment lightly. That's not exactly what I mean. I just, I know that a lot of these, a lot of these things do need surgery, and some of them may not need surgery. It really depends on your individual case, and I don't have any information to go off of based off of what I read. I just know that, you know, make a make a choice based off of your own better judgment, use your own discernment. Maybe bring it up to your doctor. They probably are more than likely going to not recommend it. But if you feel more comfortable making a choice that will make you feel more empowered and give you the opportunity to try something first, then I say go for it. But I don't recommend it. I really don't. I say make a choice based off of your own judgment because it's your life, it's your healing journey, and nobody can really at the end of the day make that choice besides you. But yeah, do what you feel in your heart will be best. If you feel like, whatever that is, make that choice. But yeah, more power to you in whatever choice that you do make. I think that no matter which choice you make, it will be the right choice. So I hope that I know that that didn't answer everything that you probably wanted to hear. You can get mushroom chocolate bars offline. I don't know of any ethical sources for that sort of thing. I know that, other people have done that. I know that I have experience with golden teacher spores. And that's because I have used them in my past when I was younger. Um, but at the same time, there's other types of mushrooms too. Just an example, and you can, in most states, you can go ahead and check this. I do have a link for spores. If you want to do this yourself, you can do this from your own home for scientific purposes only. You could do this at home just to grow mushrooms, just because you want to grow some mushrooms, just for an experiment, scientific research. Anyway, so there are links. I will put them in the resource. I have a server and I'm okay. I know. I'm sorry that this part right here is going to be a little bit of a ramble. I do have a server on what is called Gilded, and it has all of the information for how to grow mushrooms. It's called Broke Boy Tech, and I will leave the link down below. You may have to download the app to get it, or you can do it from your web page browser. I don't think you'd have to download the app that way. I am working on putting another server together, probably on Discord, just so it's more commonly used and more easily accessible for users. Just so all of that information is somewhere publicly resourced and you can have access to that information at any given moment. Because I found it online. The information is available. I have literally a whole breakdown of how to grow mushrooms yourself. So if you don't feel comfortable getting outside sources, there are ways to grow these yourself so you don't have to take any risk, which I don't think there's a whole lot of risk associated with that anyway, personally. Um, from what I've heard, grapevine. I'm not giving you any type of recommendations. I love you. But I know that you can. I personally grew them myself, and I am actually going to start a new batch called Jedi Mindfuck. So I'm a little reluctant with this batch because I have heard some crazy stories. But that's from macro dosing, which is the opposite of my microdosing. You can go through Reddit is a very, very useful resource for getting personal opinions on subjects such as that, because there are people who have done these things plenty of time in their life and they go to Reddit to communicate and talk about it. So if you ever want some, some easy access to some extra information and resources, Reddit is a really great place. I will kid you not, you will find everything and anything you need there. Um, Legal and not. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding about that last part. I'm joking. I don't mean to this isn't a this is a serious video. I'm sorry. I had to break the ice a little bit. No, but seriously, there are ways to actually legally grow these yourself. The resources are there. That link has been there for like years. It's legal to do in most states. I think California and maybe Colorado. I don't think it is Colorado. I think California has like one of those states that has restrictions on receiving it through the mail, but I don't know for certain. I just know that there's just like a couple or maybe one state that does. So if you look on that link though, it will tell you which states it's not legal to order. I don't think you'll even be able to order it at the end of the day too, so I don't think you'd even have to worry. Um but yes, I think that was everything as far as comments and questions. Thank you. Same issue around here, having epilepsy, trying to take care of myself, conventional. Yeah, no, so the rest of these seem to be just like comments, and some support. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know that we did ramble on for quite a bit. We're here at the 50-minute mark. Wow, that was a long video. And props to you. You were really on your journey for healing if you watched this whole video. I'm just going to say that. Put a mushroom in the comment if you watched this entire video all the way through, just so I can hook you up, okay? Because if you watch this whole video, you're gonna know to put that mushroom at, and I'm gonna figure out something. We're gonna do something for y'all, okay? I love you guys, and I want to put this out there. I appreciate all of your views. We got like 400 views on my psilocybin video, which was from 2 years ago. It was my 1 year update, so this is my celebration. I love you guys. I'm so thankful that this information can get to the right places that it needs to and help the people that it needs to, and at least give you a better sense of options that you have available, because I don't want you to feel like I felt, which was depleted and optionless and basically debilitated, and nobody should feel that way ever, because it sucks. I love you. And stay blessed on your healing journey because I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you.